First at 11, visibility and accountability as the January 6th investigation goes public. Good evening. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. Tonight, the first of 6 hearings began for the committee investigating the January 6th attack on the nation's capital. NBC's Susan McGinnis has details on the never-before-seen video, new audio recordings, and what else people should expect as it continues.
The January 6th committee opening televised hearings into the insurrection, presenting jarring images in a video montage.
Because you'll never take back our country with weakness.
The President of the United States trying to stop the transfer of power.
Committee Chairman, Democrat Benny Thompson, and co-chair, Republican Liz Cheney, laying out what the committee will present after its 10-month investigation.
President Trump summoned the mob, assembled the mob, and lit the flame of this attack.
The objective, to show the former president and his allies engaged in a plot to overturn the results of the lawful election of Joe Biden. Among witnesses, former Attorney General Bill Barr, who testified he assured the president the election was not stolen.
Which I told the president was.
Ivanka Trump telling the committee she believed Barr.
So I accepted what he was saying.
The hearings will also seek to outline the role of far-right group the Proud Boys in the riot and Donald Trump's hand in it.
300 Proud Boys, they're marching eastbound.
The committee also promising to show a pressure campaign by Donald Trump on Mike Pence, ultimately unsuccessful.
Vice President Pence demonstrated his loyalty to Donald Trump, but he knew that he had a higher duty to the United States Constitution.
The committee bringing video evidence and witnesses, including a filmmaker who shot video of the Proud Boys as they stormed the Capitol, and a Capitol police officer injured in the melee.
That day, it was just hours of hand-to-hand combat. I was slipping in people's blood.
Promising in coming weeks to make their case for a sprawling conspiracy led by Donald Trump to overturn the 2020 election and subvert democracy. President Trump on his social media platform continued today to falsely claim the election was rigged and stolen. In Washington, Susan McGinnis, NBC News.
We also checked on the people from Oregon and Southwest Washington who were charged for their alleged roles in the insurrection. Here's where their cases stand. A father and son from Battleground are set to accept plea deals with federal prosecutors. Photos of Jeff and Jeremy Grace surfaced, showing them both inside and outside the Capitol building that day. Back in April, Jeremy pleaded guilty to 1 count of entering and remaining in a restricted building. As part of the deal, prosecutors dropped 3 other charges. He's expected to be sentenced next month and faces up to 6 months in prison and up to $10,000 in fines. His father, Jeff, is scheduled for a plea hearing next week. 6 others were also charged. We've got a breakdown of their cases up now on KGW.com.
New tonight, it was a rather unpleasant welcome home for a Portland man who spent weeks fighting wildfires in the Southwest. You see, the night he got back to Oregon, his van filled with critical equipment was stolen. Alma McCarty talked to him tonight. And Alma, this is a guy who helps people for a living, and now he is worried he might not even be able to do that.
Well, David, Jason Starkey tells me he's in a tough spot. In order to continue to do his job, he needs the gear, but it's pricey. So in order to replace it, he needs to be working and making money. And he doubts whether he'll get everything back.
To the south, fires rage on in Arizona and New Mexico. For weeks, this harsh environment was home for Jason Starkey and his team as they fought to keep the wildfires contained.
We're usually working side by side with a hotshot crew or attacking it ourselves if there are no hotshots on the line. And we cut what they call a fire line, which is a 19S with hand trails, making a path about the size of that sidewalk ahead of the fire, which is removing the fuel from it, so when it comes it has nothing to eat and starves out before it can jump to the buffet, which is the uncut forest.
When he finally returned to Oregon, he had some valuable items in his car. He parked the van overnight outside his southeast Portland apartment.
Decided I would take care of the rest of it the next morning, which unfortunately was a few hours too late because when I got up, my van was gone with all my camping gear and some very important fire gear like my Nomex green pants and my fire boots.
The total loss?
I would say between $7,000 and $10,000.
Starkey filed a police report but says there were no surveillance cameras around where he parked his car. He says friends are finding ways to help him out.
Yes, that makes me very happy because I was starting to lose a little bit of faith in humanity.
His message to the thieves:
if whoever took my car is watching, please don't destroy my car. That is the hardest thing to replace. I hope whatever situation you're in, my top of the line camping gear makes your life more comfortable and you use that opportunity to better yourself.
In Portland, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Now let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines. Police are looking right now for this man. He's accused of robbing a bank in Tigard on Wednesday afternoon. They're trying to figure out who he is. The robber hit the Wells Fargo on Southwest Hall Boulevard and Pacific Highway. No weapons were used and no one got hurt.
Well, Oregon has just released new data on breakthrough COVID cases. Now, we learned in May slightly more than half of cases reported were in people who, yes, were fully vaccinated. Still, health officials say vaccinations are helping to prevent more serious illness. Less than 3% of all vaccine breakthrough cases have been hospitalized, and less than 1% have died.
After about a year of delays, the Blumenauer Bridge is set to open at the end of July. The bridge above Interstate 84 will connect the Lloyd District and the Central East Side. It will be car-free with a 10-foot wide pedestrian path and a 14-foot wide bike path. The price tag for the project, almost $14 million.
Hundreds of volunteers spent the day working hard to prepare floats for, yes, the Grand Floral Parade. Some of the designs we're seeing, by the way, inside the float barn here in Southeast Portland, they have been years in the making. So 35 floats covered in natural and organic materials will be on parade after a 2-year pandemic hiatus.
We are so excited to be back. It's the Rose City reunion, and I think it's just fabulous that we get to come back together and celebrate Rose Festival as a community again.
The parade is set to kick off from the Veterans Memorial Coliseum Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. And this time of year, our Rose City moniker, of course, takes on what you might call heightened significance. And that got us thinking about one of our city's most celebrated rose gardens.
Now, some are worried the city has neglected the garden and that parts of it have been suffering even before the pandemic. Catherine Cook talked with the garden's former caretaker who wants that to change.
There shouldn't be a weed in the garden.
Harry Landers.
You shouldn't see weeds in the beds.
Has a thorn in his side.
It just makes me sick to see this gorgeous garden plummet like it is.
I'm with Harry, the curator of this garden for 28 years. Incredible.
Thank you.
For nearly 30 years, Landers was curator of the International Rose Test Garden in Washington Park, a century-old centerpiece in Portland.
The city of roses. This now is a city of weeds.
Harry retired 5 years ago. Since then, he says, he's watched the garden fall into disarray. This video shows the garden in 2015. And here's a photo from the city's website. Clean garden beds, straight edging, thriving plants. Now there are weeds, thistle, and wayward grass. But Landers says he's most concerned about the garden's health.
These roses are hungry. The lawn is starving. The hedge in the Shakespeare Garden has boxwood blight. Who wants a wedding in there now?
Landers says the Parks Bureau and city officials have ignored his phone calls. We asked Portland Parks and Recreation if they could explain to us why the garden looks this way. In a statement, a Bureau spokesperson said they're making improvements as conditions and staffing allow, adding, "We continue to be challenged by staffing issues across the Bureau, including with bringing on seasonal maintenance workers for the busy summer season. There are crews and volunteers working in the garden regularly to address weeds and continue improvements, with more workers being recruited."
They're going to just cover it up with mulch, and then the grass is all going to grow through the mulch.
Landers' frustration is clear, but he's also sad.
It's like your child. If your child is sick and no one listens, what do? You start raising a lot of fuss. And this was my baby.
In Southwest Portland, Catherine Cook, KGW News.